What up, fam? Welcome to another episode of Reading Between the Headlines. I'm Asaf Nisim. Little Broken Picard is here. Let's do the thing. Headline number 1. Stubborn Pep Guardiola is his own worst enemy at Manchester City this season. While I understand where this article is coming from, and I think the details of Ed Alexander's analysis are interesting, I couldn't really disagree more. I think he falls into the same old trap that most pundits fall prey to. Let me explain. He starts the article writing, quote, handball or no handball, penalty or no penalty, one thing is clear and obvious, wink, wink, all the winks, wink, Harry winks. Manchester City have been a shadow of their former selves this season, and Pep Guardiola is the one to blame. Okay, well, let's stop there. The first thing I have to say is, oh, wow. Second thing, especially as a referee, I agree that 99.9% of the time, teams lose games on their own without the referee's help. You can complain about the calls I made all day, all night, middle of the game, after the game, but at the end of the day, you've lost the match. Fine. We agree, Mr. Alexander. Now, shadow of their former selves this season? Let's go through a bunch of the fixtures and results. Bear with me. They beat Liverpool on penalties for the Community Shield. That's one piece of silverware. They beat West Ham, pretty confident West Ham at the time, 5-0. Drew Tottenham 2-2, beat Bournemouth 3-1, Brighton 4-0, lost to a strong, confident Norwich at Carrow Road 3-2, and let's not forget, Timu Pukki was absolutely on fire then. He'll come back. They beat Shakhtar 3-0 away, Watford 8-0, Everton 3-1 at Goodison, Dinamo 2-0, then they lost to Wolves 2-0, but that's not anything new. Big teams lose to Wolves all the time. City's lost to Wolves in past seasons, and they're not called giant killers for nothing. They're good, okay? So, whatever. They beat Palace at Selhurst Park 2-0, Atalanta in the Champions League 5-1, Aston Villa 3-0, Southampton 3-1 and 2-1, drew Atalanta away, and then lost to Liverpool 3-1 most recently. Now, tell me where it is you find that City is a shadow of their former selves? What, because Liverpool is having the best start to a Premier League season they've ever had? Maybe the best start to a Premier League season any team has ever had. Maybe because they won 2 Premier League titles in a row in sensational fashion, and now they've had a less than impressive first 12 games this season. Let's go on. After their lackluster defeat at Liverpool on Sunday, the 2019-20 Premier League title is nothing more than a pipe dream for the citizens now, with the Reds holding a 9-point lead over the reigning champs. City will not catch the Reds. Any hopes they had of topping the table come May were extinguished at Anfield, amid a blaze of slick counterattacking and ruthless efficiency that laid bare the champions' weaknesses. Now, I watched the Liverpool City game. To call it a lackluster performance by City makes me think you didn't watch it. There's no question that Liverpool were absolutely clinical in their finishing, absolutely typical in their machine-like efficiency and rapid, destructive counterattacking. There's no doubt about that. But to say that City were a shadow of their former selves or lackluster is to undermine your own credibility. For me, watching that game, it felt that City were every bit as competent as they have been for some time, save for maybe their ability to finish good chances. I mean, there were definitely a couple that Sergio Aguero missed that were pretty uncharacteristic. He is maybe one of the best strikers the Premier League has ever seen. I mean, not maybe, he definitely is. But besides that, they exhibited top-notch technical ability. They had more possession than Liverpool, over 100 more accurate passes than Liverpool, a higher pass success rate by 6 percentage points, created more chances, more shots on goal, and 13 corners as opposed to Liverpool's measly 4. Let's go further. Dribbles attempted by Liverpool, 22. City, 23. Liverpool succeeded in 13. City in 19. Tackles succeeded. Liverpool 5. City 10. Aerials 1. Liverpool 13. City 14. Now, don't get me wrong. This isn't me saying that stats are everything. You've heard me say that they aren't on this show a lot. Or that Liverpool didn't deserve the win. Oh, they deserve to win. There's no question about that. They had a game plan that works to the strengths they've been utilizing since Klopp arrived, and also conveniently does exploit City's willingness to play an open game at times, namely on the counterattack when they lose possession, hence all the professional fouls people are always accusing City of at the moment and in the past. It's part of the game. They do it. Sarri's teams do it. Barcelona does it. Teams do it, okay? But I digress. If City finishes its chances, we're looking at a different result entirely. Okay, they didn't. Does that make them a shadow of their former selves? Lackluster? Give me a break. He goes on. The errors, tactical and individual, made in that clash were just the latest in a long line of damaging mistakes from Guardiola. The 3-1 loss at the hands of Jurgen Klopp's swashbuckling super pressers highlighted the faults in Pep's strategy and character that have seemingly already ended the club's title challenge in November. Heading these flaws are the coach's stubbornness and arrogance. Using a 4-3-3 formation has brought ridiculous levels of success at the Eastlands. Yet, that doesn't mean the system should be used in every single match, regardless of who the citizens' opponents are. Does this sound familiar at all to you? As I've said, it is absolutely shocking how short people's memories are. I'm old enough to remember, maybe Mr. Alexander over at 90 Minutes isn't. I'm old enough to remember when Pep first got to the league. This was essentially the exact narrative projected all over the media. Every press conference, every loss, every detail scrutinized within an inch of its life. They said, these tactics don't work in England. Pep will have to adjust. The system is flawed. Complete garbage. And Pep showed them 2 seasons in a row. Beyond that, this has absolutely nothing to do with arrogance or stubbornness. This is about playing football that makes you feel good, okay? That allows the players and managers alike to express themselves to the fullest. At the end of the day, this is entertainment. I'm sure you've heard that before, and it's true. And Pep has nothing to prove at this point. His tactics work over the long haul to win games and silverware, as well as exhibit the type of football that dreams are made of. And I'm not exaggerating on that. Let's read a bit more. There is no doubt Guardiola watched Sheffield United's clash with Liverpool in September. He would have analyzed what went on and witnessed the Blades taking advantage of the spaces left by Klopp's attacking fullbacks. Yes, United were beaten 1-0 in that encounter, but it was a fortuitous victory for the Merseysiders, with goalkeeper Dean Henderson's howler allowing them to take the points at Bramall Lane. If Guardiola was more flexible in his thinking, he would have had the humility to concede that the usual formation was not suited to an away meeting with an in-form Liverpool. 3-5-2 might have been the shrewder option. So let me get this straight. You're saying that Pep should have nixed the system that won them 2 Premier League titles in a row, breaking a variety of records, and garnering an FA Cup, 2 League Cups, and 2 Community Shields for a system they've never implemented so as to provide extra defensive cover and width to exploit Liverpool's flanks like Sheffield United did, and lost 1-0? Yeah, that seems reasonable. Not to mention that it's not like Liverpool weren't in form last season, okay? They ended on 97 points, the most ever scored by a team without winning the title. City played the same system and beat Liverpool 2-1 at the Etihad and drew 0-0 at Anfield, away at Anfield. Ed Alexander closes the article quite neatly, saying he must accept he is not perfect. He must accept that sometimes other people know better. He must accept that he is the reason the most expensive football squad in footballing history are putting up such a feeble title challenge. Firstly, he never, ever expressed such self-aggrandizing feelings of perfection. I don't know where you're getting that from. Ever, okay? He's most certainly a philosophically introspective character in a major way. You can see this in all of his conferences and all of his discussions and the way he impassions his players. Second, he must accept that sometimes other people like you, Ed Alexander, philosophy student turned 90-minute sports writer, know better than one of the most decorated managers in football history, know better how he wants his team to play, to enjoy their football and win substantially? Is that what you're saying? Some people know better, some people like you? Is that it? Yeah? Is that where you're going with this? That's what you're trying to say? Trying to lead us down that road? Trying to just allude to the fact that philosophy students like you know better than Pep Guardiola sometimes? Yeah. 3-5-2, you say? 3-5-2? Okay. The third statement is essentially meaningless. Every year, the market inflates. Every year, clubs pay more than they did in years prior. The disparity in what Real Madrid, Manchester United, Barcelona, PSG, and the like spend is negligible and does not, by any means, equate titles. Now, I'm not saying that Liverpool won't win the title. I'm sure the bookies put it in their favor. I'm sure most people put it in their favor. At this point, I'd put it in their favor. But to say conclusively that 12 games into the season and a 9-point gap is evidence that they will not catch Liverpool and that they're a shadow of their former selves is to display such a level of ignorance and arrogance that the irony is stupefying. Maybe take your own advice, Mr. Alexander. Sometimes others know better. Headline number 2. Juventus would be the ideal club for Willian. Chelsea star urged to join Serie A giants. So here's a weird one for sure. Most people know that Willian's contract with Chelsea ends this summer. It's also been made abundantly clear time and time again that Chelsea are not in the business of giving lucrative multiple-year contracts to players above the age of 30. Willian just turned 31, so naturally some people are skeptical as to his future with the club. According to Willian's former manager at Shakhtar, Mircea Lucescu, Juventus would be the ideal destination for him. He told Tutto Sport, Willian's contract at Chelsea is expiring. It would be good for him to change it up a bit after all these years in London. The Bianconeri would be ideal for him. While I understand that this manager knows Willian pretty well after 6 years working together at Shakhtar, this seems a pretty ridiculous allegation. I imagine that not much thought was put into it, to be honest. There's one clear hiccup in the logic here. To put it mildly, Maurizio Sarri and Willian do not have the greatest relationship. If Sarri didn't want Willian in his team at Chelsea, what makes this guy think that he'd want him at Juve? And what makes him think that Willian would want to be stuck in a similar situation in Italy as at Chelsea? Especially with the club rejecting offers from Barcelona for him, despite Sarri seeing him as peripheral to his plans. In addition, Willian's performances for Chelsea recently have perhaps been the best in his career. He looks so efficient, so silky, doesn't seem to have lost any pace at all. Not to mention, he doesn't seem to lose the ball as much and makes much better decisions than he has in the past. Frank Lampard has been very clear in his willingness to rely on Willian as well. With regards to Willian staying at the club, he responded, the word isn't no-brainer because I can't get involved in the money, but everyone sees how much I'm relying on him and picking him and what he is producing. I love him at this football club, so there's my answer. My opinion? Not going to happen. Before we get to headline number 3, I'd like to remind you all to please like, comment, share, subscribe to this channel if you enjoy the content. If not, well, I don't care. Got lots of friends, subscribers, and likes, and just like the video. Just comment. Subscribe to the channel. Back to the show. Headline number 3. Revealed. Moyes Keane dropped from Everton squad for breaking disciplinary measures. Well, it begins. We talked about Moyes Keane early in the season. It's clear that he's quite the exceptional talent and, at only 19 years old, a seemingly great piece of business for the Toffees. Or was it? It wasn't long ago that we talked about Jose Mourinho and Graham Souness waxing about the kid on Sky Sports. Check it out.
We as football fans were all slightly surprised when Marco Silva was able to persuade Moyes Keane to join Everton. 5 goals and 6 starts for Juventus, caught the eye, made lots of headlines at the back end of last season. Were you surprised, Jose, that they were able to make that move?
I am a bit surprised. He's a young striker. Last season he showed, at least for us, from our perspective and from our side of the screen, watching matches on TV, he showed us not just qualities as a player, but also this no fear to come into a Juventus team full of stars and scoring immediately goals. But then there is something that I put some question marks: why Juventus sell when they have strikers of course, top quality like Cristiano, Mandzukic, Higuain, but all of them over 30 years old. To sell a striker that I recognize potential, but to sell him such a young striker, why? Would be something that if I find Nedved around the corner, I would ask him, Father, why did you sell him? Explain me. And probably I would understand.
It's a big job though, Graham, isn't it? 19 years old, big responsibility to score the goals for Everton, which a centre-forward hasn't been doing.
It's the hardest place to play, someone who gets goals. At 19, why have they sold them? Personally, slight alarm bell going off in my head. Juventus are arguably the biggest club in Italy, wealthiest club in Italy. Given that they've got an older strike force, you're selling a 19-year-old who won't be hurting you wage-wise. They've not got 100 million plus for him. I think there'll be other issues there. I don't know. Do you know if they've got a buyback clause, Juve?
I don't know that.
But that would tell you if they've not got that, then they're happy to see him out the door. Then at 19, it's a bit like it doesn't make any common sense if you're Juventus. It's as if they're go on. We don't care how good he's going to be. You can take him, which would suggest off-the-field activities are not the best. It's a bit like Adebayor here, 25. Just about to enter his best years, and Wenger sold him to City. Right away, you're thinking, he's not selling him because he's not a very good football player. It's because there's something not quite right with him. And that's how it turned out to be, because that was a boy who had all the talent you could ever wish for, but didn't do it.
Well, Everton fans have heard a lot about him. They're certainly excited to see him today.
I am excited. I think he can score a goal. He's a kid that he has a goal on him. But probably we are speaking about issues that, stability in performances, to keep it that. Is he able to do that? That he has a personality to do that? That's the reason why Juve sold him or no? We don't know.
But see, at 19, at 19, you're still learning the game. At 19, if you're making football decisions, you're saying to yourself, we've got to give him time. We've got to give him a bit more time. But they've made their mind up on him at 19.
It seems that Mourinho and Souness's suspicions may have been quite appropriate. It's also been reported that he was excluded from Italy's Euro 2020 qualifier squad against Armenia and Finland after having arrived late for a team meeting. Italy boss Roberto Mancini said at the time that professionals must always behave well. We may now have a bit of a clearer understanding as to why such a promising young talent like Keane was released by Juventus, and why he's barely featured in a highly underperforming side like Everton that could really use his goals. But more importantly, positive-minded professional leaders to pull them out of this slump. Profile, that which he does not satisfy. This is what I mean when I say that talent is not enough. Mentality, commitment, and a positive attitude make good players great, and great players consistent. Headline number 4. Tottenham eyeing up £50 million move for Manchester United flop Memphis Depay as Dutch forward enjoys new lease of life at Lyon. Here's an interesting one that, to be honest, I've been waiting to see for some time. Not that Depay is rumored to go to Tottenham, but that he's rumored to come back to the Prem. I'm sure many of you remember when 21-year-old baby-faced Memphis Depay arrived at Manchester United from PSV Eindhoven. I'm sure it was no coincidence that at the time, Louis van Gaal was manager at United. There was substantial excitement surrounding this fierce young player. He had scored 22 goals in 30 games at PSV, and with exceptional style. At the time, he was quoted as saying, "This is a dream come true for me, to play for the biggest club in the world and also to have the chance to work with someone who I believe is the best manager in the world, Louis van Gaal. I have great belief in my ability, and I work hard to strive to achieve my dreams." Van Gaal commented at the time, saying, "I know Memphis well from our time working together in the Netherlands national team. He is a young, versatile player who has the ability to play in a number of different positions. It will take time for Memphis to get used to the rhythm of the Premier League, but I have no doubt that he has the potential to become a great footballer for this club, and he is at the right club to continue the good work he has done so far." Now, I don't need to tell you that it didn't quite work out for Memphis in Manchester. He left the club for Lyon in 2017 after 2 years and scoring just 2 goals in 33 measly appearances for Manchester United. Meanwhile, he not only showed that he is a world-class talent in the French top tier, but in the Champions League as well as the Dutch national setup. He scored 50 goals and racked up 42 assists in 130 appearances for Lyon. That's not too shabby. I'm actually really excited to see Depay back in the Prem, but if the rumors are true, I wonder what the heck Tottenham are really doing here. They barely play Lucas Moura as it is. They've got a very talented young player who has goals in him in Ryan Sessegnon, who's made one single appearance for the club, and now they want to scoop Memphis Depay for £50 million? Again, Depay is fantastic, but I wouldn't necessarily say he's more talented than Lucas Moura. Maybe a bit. Of course, he's in better form now, but Moura isn't really playing. And we have seen what he can do when he actually does get on the pitch. When Kane was out for a while, he was playing more. And, I mean, he scored like a crazy hat trick. He was good. If Pochettino isn't playing Moura or Sessegnon, why would Spurs splurge so much on yet another attacking option? Now, if I was United, I'd be activating that buyback clause on Depay so fast, Fred would be taking the bus home. I don't really know how that makes any sense, but he'd be taking the goddamn bus, all right? I don't know that it's necessarily prudent for Spurs to go out and buy him. They're always complaining about spending money, and if Eriksen goes, they need to prioritize bolstering the midfield. They might have to do that anyway. But, who really knows what's going wrong at Spurs right now? They surely need to do something to their squad, their morale, their confidence. Who knows, though? You never know what's going on behind the scenes. Who trains well, who shows leadership, who garners the gaffer's full confidence. Certainly we can't be sure who will still be on the roster come summer, let alone January. Well, that does it for this week's episode of Reading Between the Headlines. Thank you so very much for hanging out with me. Stick around to watch a few more of my favorite goals from the Prem this week. Another reminder to please like, comment, share, subscribe to this channel. And as per usual, from myself and from little tiny broken Picard, just look at him. He's so tiny, so broken. We hope that you live football and prosper.